Today's June 8th, 2012, and I'm in Balboa Park speaking with Judy Besverkoff and Barb Avery, and you have plaques in your hands. Let me get a close-up of those a second. I'd like, if you could, to share a couple of minutes on the journey that was for those plaques. How did you get those, and what it's all about? What's this telling us about?
Oh, yes. Well, it all started back in 1991. Judy had put an ad in the Reader for Women's Softball League and a Monday Night League, which was for women 18 and above. And at the time I was 50. And so it was rather interesting because I didn't really get on the team right away, but I enjoy softball, so I used to go and watch them. And then the following year, I did join the team.
And how long ago was that?
That would have been 1992. And we played together on the same team. And then, as we got older, either it was the fact that we got older or the younger people were running a lot faster, but it got a little bit tough to get some of these rabbits out. Judy at the time was playing first base and I was playing third base, so I think you can appreciate that there were a lot of singles that were allowed, infield singles, so to speak. And then we decided, gee, it would be nice to have a league where it was just for senior women, and we had the Senior Olympics. When was that? In 2000?
Yeah.
I think there was in 2000. John Eyrig wanted to get a senior women's team together, and it was women's soccer and basketball, and Judy and I from softball, basically. And we played in the first Senior Olympics here in San Diego for women in softball in Kit Carson Park in Escondido.
Did you know the women on that team, or did you have to recruit people, or what'd you do, Judy?
John actually recruited
a lot, and I had been playing basketball at the time, and so I had gotten some of the basketball women interested in at least playing for that team. But after we did that, we were back to Judy and I thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have a senior women's, softball
tournament team? Actually,
yeah, right.
We were thinking about a tournament team.
Right.
Well, you know what? You can set your plaques down a second. I didn't.
Okay.
Okay. So it was a tournament team to begin with. Is that what you were going to do?
That's what we were trying.
Yeah, we hoped.
Yeah, and I don't know. We actually had a couple of gentlemen that came to help us, sort of. What'd you say?
Well, they were kind of coaching us.
Coaching us, and because we had some women who decided that they would play. How we did it was we did have a flyer that we put out, and people started calling, and we were working with the Top Gun group, the men's group, and David had one of a lady from the Times,
the Union Tribune.
Union Trib, sorry, who came and interviewed Judy and some people who were interested in softball.
So Judy, how did they get your name to do the interview? Did you?
Well, because we knew this man through. He gave it to the Denise Nelson, who worked at the Union Tribune, and so she contacted me, and she came to a practice that we had up at Claremont Rec Center, and she interviewed everybody, and then she wrote a little article for the Union Tribune. And after that came out, we had quite a few people
Did they have your phone number and contact info in the article?
Yeah, I think they had my phone number.
Because that's to start a league is not an easy thing.
Yeah, well, we thought we'd just do a team, and one of the men that was helping us said, well, you need a league, and then you can draw from the league to get your team. And we go, we can't even get a team. How are we going to get a league? So we just kept putting ads in the Reader and in the Penny Saver, and then finally we got enough players for the.
So what was the first year the league started?
2003. It was. I think the 10th of March, or it was in that little thing we had.
And how many teams?
We had 4 teams. We started out with 4. We got up at one point, we started with women that were 45 and older, and then when the disparity, now we have an 80-year-old, and so the disparity was too much. So when we got enough players, we had 8 teams at one point, that we cut the age off at 50. Mm-hmm. And so I think ideally we always thought 55 would be the good age for senior, but we're still at 50. So, and then we had our big opening day. Lefty Holmeyer was there on that first opening day from the League of Their Own, one of the women.
How did you get that to happen?
Somebody knew of her, and we contacted her, and she was happy to come. She sells her memorabilia, so it was an opportunity for her as well. And she sang the song from the movie, and it was kind of a drizzly gray day, but that was the beginning. Next year will be 10 years.
So do you ever get tired of this? I'm assuming you get a great satisfaction when you see all these women out there playing because of you. Do you ever get tired of that, or you take that for granted? What you started?
No, I think lots of times we just look at each other and go, "Look at this!
Look at what happened."
Because the group of women that came was a whole story unto itself. They're just amazing.
Right.
But it takes an incredible amount of work. I mean, I see behind the scenes what you're doing as far as your organization and so forth. If you don't have somebody like that, it's not going to all necessarily stick together.
That's Judy. Judy is the great organizer, and as you know, she writes out the weekly memo and stuff, and so I'm just along for the ride, so to speak. But Judy is the great organizer. She contacted Mona, who was the director, who's responsible for getting us at Presidio Field and all. And Judy, I think, knew a lot of people and was able to, expand. Plus, Judy likes to talk. And so it was just it was nice because I sort of came along for the ride on that point, but I don't mind talking about the league or anything like that because Judy's not into that. She's more on the individual.
Well, you all seem to be working well as a team in this regard too.
When
you look at it now, do you have any recommendations for somebody in another city that might want to start this?
Just don't give up.
Yeah.
Just if you want to do it, it'll happen. But it took 2.5 years of practice every week. Every Sunday we met. We had a practice, and sometimes there was 1 or 2 people, and you just did what we could. And we just never gave up because anywhere you are, there are women that would love to do this. And the hard part is finding it. But if you keep at it,
it's just like today in this thing that we had, this Arna that we had today. There are 3 ladies that have come up and are interested in playing softball, and so the interest is out there. A lot of times it's just by word of mouth. I mean, like I said, we started out with some flyers and the Reader, Penny Saver, and women would call, and we had both our numbers there. There were so many women that did call that said, "Oh, I haven't played since high school or college," and it's okay, come. I mean, this is going to be for senior women, and the opportunity to play. Some women had never played, and so that's okay. We would have practices. We don't recommend someone who's never played to start right out in the league. We prefer that they go to some practices to get the feel of it. But it's just important to be able to join a group like that, get some exercise, and I believe it's the camaraderie and the friendships that they make that keeps the league going.
Well, and I'm impressed that the way you've made it, because as a newcomer a few years ago, everybody made me feel welcome, and you know, the skill level is really varied. You have, you know, phenomenal ex-college players to people who've only been playing a couple of years.
Yeah.
Did that happen? Did you figure that out to do?
Well, no, I think the first season we got together with one of the other gals that was playing, and we just kind of made teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, some were stronger, some were weaker, because we didn't really have a good, you know, and that's still the case now.
Mm-hmm.
But then we decided, you know, why always be on the weak team or the strong team? Why don't we change the teams every season? So we did. And why don't we make these rules where there's not too many on a team, so nobody's sitting on the bench? Because they were in the early years. You know, when you form your own league, you can kind of do what you want.
Right.
And the whole point was to get women out of the house onto the ball field. And the easier way to do that is what we tried to take that path. So,
And I think one of the interesting things is that Judy and I still play on a Monday night league.
we're still on that same team that we started on.
And we have, obviously, over the years, when you consider 1991 to 2012, you're looking at a good 20 years. Some of the women that we played with, we've convinced now to come and play in the senior league because they finally made it to that age.
We got old.
And then, yeah, they got old enough to play. And one woman in particular said, "Oh, Saturdays, I'd have to be a part-time player." And Mia is now.
She never misses.
She never misses. Plus, she plays extra games. So, and that's the one nice thing too about the league is that obviously women have other things to do and vacations and everything. So when a team is short, they can borrow. There's a way where borrowed players can be put on a team so that there are no forfeits or anything like that. So there are some women that'll be out there on a Saturday morning that'll end up playing 3 games because they love it so much. And like I said, Mia, I think, is one who was just going to be a part-time player, and
now she will. Now everything else she did on Saturdays is gone.
Right.
She's out there every day.
Well, it's really to your credit, because it's to me it's like flawless. You have the teams, you try to make them equal. Everybody, you mix them up twice a year, so everybody gets the camaraderie is for the whole group. And you might be having an opponent for one game, and the next game you're playing on the same team with them. I mean, it's just, it's a great attitude.
Right. So yeah, winning is not the #1 goal of this league. It's just being out there and playing.
And I think that's the thing that impresses me the most and gives me a feeling of goodness, so to speak, in this, is the fact that the friendships that women have made, and you see,
starting with these two right here.
You know, it just really is nice to see. I mean, I had no idea, really no idea that it would explode like it did. And I think now with the Senior Olympics being available for San Diego with Pat Kelly and Pat Nickel is great, because I think they have a tough job with doing everything, planning it and getting the facility and refreshments and getting the teams and doing all the scheduling and everything. It's a lot harder than what we had to do, but you know, at least I guess we can take some pride in the fact that if we didn't start this, they wouldn't have the opportunity to have that many.
If you didn't start this, I'd be still going and watching people play softball going, gosh, I'm never going to be able to do that again for the rest of my life. I can't tell you, and I'm just one example of that.
Oh, good. I'm just glad, you know, and you know, granted, I can't run or anything anymore, but it's just I just love the game, and I just love to be out there, and so it's fun for me. So
yeah, it
It
is.
is.
It's more like a family than
Yeah.
just a league. Everybody's very supportive.
Well, I think that's because of the founders. They started it out with a way of making it competitive, but also having a premise that it's there for fun primarily and for friendship. And I just want to thank you.
Oh.
And I'm glad
Sure
I
will.
got this opportunity to finally get you in front of the
our
camera.
5 minutes up.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, right.
Thanks again.
Okay, thanks, Bridget.